Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. So this stream is going to be looking at the whole of Dark Souls 3 including DLCs. I'm going to be giving you a walkthrough of sort of some good strategies against bosses, looking at some of all the items, covenants, NPC quest lines, all that sort of thing. So I'm going to try to take you through the whole of Dark Souls 3, a sort of good path through the game. And then if you're ever stuck at any point in the game, hopefully this will serve as something that you can look back on and go, yep, I missed that item there, I need to grab this, especially if you've missed a quest line or if you're struggling with a boss. I'll be titling it by area, so hopefully it'll be quite easy to find everything. I'll include the movie clips and things like that as well, just so you can hopefully enjoy it. Again, you can just sort of skip through those if you're not as interested in Dark Souls 3 videos and that. Anyway, let's get on to the stream, and hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric.
So the area in Dark Souls 3 is called Lothric.
Of the Lords of Cinder converge.
We've got 4 Lords of Cinder that we need to take down.
In venturing north, the pilgrims discover the truth of the old words. The fire fades, and the lords go without thrones.
And the lords aren't sitting on their thrones, so we've got to try and return them to their thrones. Again, that's just going to be defeating the main 4 bosses.
When the link of fire is threatened, the bell tolls, unearthing the old lords of Cinder from their graves. Aldrich, saint of the deep.
We've got Eldrick, our first lord. Pretty disgusting.
Farron's undead legion.
The Abyss Watchers. They've been trying to keep the Abyss at bay, but they've actually been consumed by it.
And the reclusive lord of the profaned capital.
Yorm helped the people of the Profane Capital, but he got, again, consumed by the Profane Flame that was there.
Only in truth, the lords will abandon their thrones.
We don't really mention the twin princes there, but they are the 4th
And
lord.
the unkindled will rise. Nameless, accursed undead, unfit even to be cinder. And so it is.
So if you know Dark Souls lore, people are being sacrificed to the flame in each of the Dark Souls games. So generally at the end of the game you'll either choose to link the flame and so continue the cycle going, or walk away from the flame. And so we're unkindled. We didn't actually manage to... We were willing to sacrifice ourselves to the flame, but we didn't become kindled. We didn't actually create a bonfire, I guess, as such. So I'm just going to call the character Walkthrough, for obvious reasons. I'm not going to change too much. A knight class is probably the class that you want to start with. It's got very good health and defense, and also a decent weapon, a really good shield, and that shield is actually able to parry as well as blocking 100% of defense. 100% of attack. And just a good all-round build, especially if you want to do a quality build, so sort of strength and dex. Your other options is you can go for more of a dex build if you want to go for something like a thief or assassin. Again, that's sort of more probably middle playthroughs. I wouldn't start with it. And again, you've got the option of something like a mage, which is focused mainly on sorceries, so intelligence. Or you could look at something like a cleric, where you're actually looking more at faith and healing. Or you can sort of combine the two and go for something like a pyromancer, which involves intelligence and faith to cast fire spells. So sort of cleric is your healing, pyromancer is your combination of intelligence and faith, being fire spells. Sorcerer is your intelligence heavy sorcery build. And again, sort of cleric is more for helping people, pyro is more for damage, and again sorcerer is also damage primarily. There are some sneaky tactics you can use as a sorcerer as well if you want to be more of an assassin. But we're going to go with knight, easiest build to start with, just primarily pumping out damage, making sure you're blocking a lot of damage. Is the easiest one to get through the game with. Burial Gift, there's a couple of good options to start with. I would personally go with the rusted gold coins because it means you can get the symbol of avarice sooner rather than later. But other options is you could choose to go with a life ring, just to give you that bit of extra health early in the game. I wouldn't worry too much about a divine blessing or hidden blessing. That's sort of a one-off helpful item. If you really struggle with Gunda, you can get black fire bombs just to sort of get through that first boss and open up co-op. And fire gems is if you want an early fire weapon, but again you can get that pretty soon in the game. I wouldn't worry about that. So primarily I would go with the rusted gold coin. Some people also go with the young white branch, which means that you are friends with the giant in the high wall straight off the bat. I don't find it too hard to get to that giant straight away, so again, none of these are too important. Rusted gold coin you actually get 7 of, so it really helps you to farm for that symbol of avarice. It increases your item discovery. I'm just going to choose a preset, because I'm sure I've got some build here that I've used before that I can just use again. Yeah, let's go help character for a bit of fun. And there we are, we're ready to start. So here you get to see your character rising up from the grave. So still alive after he was sacrificed to the flame. He didn't burn up, so he's really ashy. That's why they call you the Ashen One. Alright, so we're going to take this fairly slowly just so that it's easy for you to see everything. So again, here's your first enemy. You can just literally normal attack him is probably the easiest way to go. To the right here we have a soul item, so something that you probably don't want to miss. Another enemy just sitting here below this item, so again, you can hold up your shield and you've got 100% block on this shield, so he can attack you as many times as he wants to, and you've got complete defense. So just left bumper to block, right bumper to attack. There are all these tutorial messages as well that will help you through if you're not sure on some of the controls. Something like here, it'll tell you to use right bumper behind them for a backstab. And again, you can just right bumper these enemies, hold up your shield for a bit of defense against him if you struggle, and then right bumper is your easiest attack. There is a crystal lizard here that gets you to turn back, so if you're really worried about it, you can turn back, but I don't find him too hard as long as you learn his attacks. A crystal lizard, he'll roll at you usually to start with, or he'll come at you. You can just sort of roll forward and past him, and usually that will avoid his attacks. I actually got hit there, but most of the time, say if I let him attack, I can roll forward past him. Or if you're worried, just roll back, and mostly that will avoid pretty much all of his attacks. He'll just sort of flail around a bit, and then he'll roll at you, so you can roll to the right to avoid that. You can then punish his attacks, so start getting 2 or 3 hits in, avoid, 2 or 3 hits, avoid. That's usually your safe strategy. I actually got hit there again. Again, use your Estus after he's attacked, so you sort of wait for him to attack before you use your Estus. Roll away when he does something like that. When he staggers up, you can run and press right bumper on him, and you'll get a riposte. That usually deals a lot of damage, so it's definitely something to look for in a lot of boss enemies. Again, just get away from him when he's doing that roll attack. And again, you can just play it safe, roll back, get attacks in after he's wait for him to attack again, get more attacks in, roll to the right or back if you need. Once he staggers, be sure to run in and press right bumper to get that riposte. And there you go, he's not too hard to defeat. Over here you've got a soul item that's worth 800 souls, definitely worth picking up. And then we'll run back the way we came. To the right we'll have someone with a crossbow. Also through the swamp you can just roll, so rolling forwards through watery areas tends to make that a bit quicker. So to the right here we'll have a guy with a crossbow, unless we've already... oh, there he is, he's moved. So he's usually there, and then you can just hold your shield up and that'll avoid most of the attacks that he can do. Again, backstabbing or holding your shield up, it's not too hard against any of these enemies yet. I don't think there's any items on the right there, so we can just go straight this direction. Stay close to the mountain here so you don't fall off the edge. You're not likely to, but just a tip. So this is your first bonfire. Bonfires will restore your HP and restore your Estus flasks. So that's really useful. This way you've got 2 options. You can drop down to the right, or you can take on these guys. I find it easier just to go the slow way. Again, you can always hold your shield up, wait for them to attack. Once they hit your shield, you get an opportunity to attack them back. I hit these guys before they get up, just so that you have less time wasted. Again, enemy there, hold your shield up, he'll bounce off it, and you can just slash. This next section you can actually walk down on the right there, so I showed you there's a path there, or you can just... oh, I forgot about him. Or you can just drop down and actually plunge on them. So dropping down, you press right bumper as you're dropping, and you'll get a plunge, it's that attack, but it's not hard. Again, with the shield, if you hold it up, you press right bumper and forward at the same time on the left thumbstick, and you can kick, so that gets rid of that shield. fire bombs down there that I just picked up. Useful items. Again, you can use that in the first boss battle if you're struggling, especially once he gets into his second phase. So to equip items, you just press the start button, you go to equipment. You've sort of got your weapons up here, you've got your shields, you've got any arrows that you want to equip, you've got your helmet, chest piece, gauntlets and leggings, so your armor. You've got all your ring slots over here, and then you've got your quick items that you can press down on the directional pad to access. So what I'll do here is I'll press X to remove those two items. I usually have my Estus Flask, my Ashen Estus Flask, and any other healing items here, so I don't have any other healing items at the moment, but once we get more, we can equip them in those couple of slots. I'll then my Rusted Gold Coin down over here, and I'll equip that next to we'll get Undead Hunter Charms later. Those are useful for mimics. And then my PvP weapons I tend to put as my last 3 slots. So things like fire bombs throwing items I can have at the end, and then I'll have resins that we'll pick up later in those last 2 slots there. That's just the way I do it. You can do it how you want to. Again here, I'll never use the dark sign, so that's your tool belt. So I'll remove that. I'll remove the wakelet as well. And then once I get sort of more PvP items, so more actually connecting to other players and that sort of thing, like the white sign soapstone, I'll equip that in my tool belt just so it's easy to access. But sort of it takes a bit longer than your quick items, so you can see me cycling through the quick items down the bottom there now. I just find that the easiest way of doing things. So for that Titanite shard that we've got, you want to hold the B button and then press it again. Sorry, you don't use the B button, it'll be the left thumbstick. We'll come back up there. So again, just get rid of these. It's the boss fight. We're just going to go back up that direction, so you should recognize this area where we killed the sleeping enemies. And again, so you hold B as you're running to the ledge, and you press the left thumbstick in at the end, and then you get the Titanite shard. You can roll off the edge and plunge that character if he's still alive down there as well. And we're at the boss fight. We've still got a decent amount of Estus and health, so we should be fine for it. Now, boss fight won't trigger until you press the sword. So you press A button on the sword here. As you do that, you want to start getting hits in on the boss. So this is Iodex Gundir, if I said that correctly. Again, you can get hits in as soon as you've removed that sword. I use up my stamina, and then I will just literally strafe to the right. You just stay at his non-sword hand, and usually you don't even have to roll. So I'm not even rolling here, I'm just staying next to his non-sword hand, and again, he can hardly hit me as long as you stay just in that. So I'm just showing you that for 2 more seconds or so, and then we'll start attacking. His punch attack he will get you with, roll out the way of that one. But mostly, again, you can just stay at that, get 1 or 2 hits in, wait for him to attack, and it's not too hard to finish Gundir off pretty soon. This is a second phase, so to make it easier, if you really want to, you can change to your fire bombs, and fire bombs will do a bit more damage. Notice I rolled past his attack there. Don't stay in front of him. His attacks in front do a lot more damage than his attacks from behind. So roll out the way just as he's coming down for that attack. That's the easiest way to do it. And then again, you can firebomb him, and he will stagger at one point in that battle as well. Firebombs will finish him, so not too hard to defeat the first boss if you follow those strategies. So light that bonfire, and then we're going to move through the next door. There's a broken straight sword here. Now this is more for veteran players of the game. They'll choose to use that as a challenge. I would not recommend it to new players of the game. Even I haven't done a broken straight sword challenge. Again, hit the sleeping enemy, hold your shield up, and then you will have a free hit on him when he hits you. So not too hard to take down the shield enemies. Coming along the ledge here, you'll get a homeward bone. That'll come in useful for returning to bonfires when you're in trouble. So if you've got no Estus left and you just need to get to a bonfire to restore it, homeward bones will allow you to return to that bonfire while keeping your souls. No items there to the right, so we're just going to keep going up. Again, we've got a couple enemies sleeping on the left there. Most wise just to take them out before we go any further. Watch out for that crossbow guy at the top there. Again, down here to the right, there will be items appearing here later, but there's no items to the right there now. Continuing up the staircase, you will notice that there is a dog to the right there, and there's enemies to the left. I'll get rid of these enemies to the left so we don't have to deal with them at all. Again, probably either kick his shield or wait for him to attack. And hold your shield up if you're going to wait for him to attack. If you do have the chance of getting a riposte if you see him stagger. So if you press right bumper quickly, it means that you can get that riposte off. To the right up here, we have the dog, so the skeleton dog. Again, hold your shield up. Once he attacks your shield, he'll bounce off, and then you get an easy attack on him. Pick up the ember. I will go all the way around to the side, down this way. And there's a shield up there on the tree. If you pick it up too early, these guys will come down and attack you, so it's best to actually take them out before you pick that shield item up. And these guys have the chance of dropping a Cleric's Sacred Chime, which you can trade with the birds in a little bit. If you keep following this path around, you can get a homeward bone or two. Yeah, homeward bone. And then we'll come back to the Swordmaster down this direction. Now, Swordmaster can be very annoying. There's a couple of these techniques that you can use on him. Some people use fists to hit him off, so what you can do is you can unequip your weapons. I'll actually just unequip my sword for now. If you use both fists it can be easier, but what I find to be one of the easiest is lock on, get just to the side there, and he'll often fall off. If he doesn't fall off, you can use your fists to finish him off there. Don't do what I did, don't fall off the edge as you kill him. Just make sure that you hit him just enough to fall off, but you don't go off yourself. Not a problem if you do though, because you'll just spawn back. I'm going to run past the enemies now, because you know how to defeat them easily. And we'll just go and get that item from this Swordmaster. So once the Swordmaster has died, if he falls off the edge, you'll just need to reload the area by resting at a bonfire, and that will cause his items here, the Uchigatana, Master's Attire, and Master's Gloves, to appear. Those weapons are good for not increasing your equip load too much, but also being able to have a little bit of defense on each of your item slots. It's useful to have something equipped on your head, on your chest, legs, and on your hands. Talk to Hawkwood. So Hawkwood is from the Abyss Watchers. Now he's actually deserted them, and he, as you can see, is seeing the task of searching these Lords of Cinder as just a pretty much impossible task. He's not very happy. And so we get the collapse gesture from him. And he just sees it all as a sick joke.
What a sick joke.
asking us to seek the Lords of Cinder and return them to their molding thrones. We're not fit to lick their boots, he says. So place the sword in the bonfire here. That'll allow you to travel to the high wall. Should be our next destination.
Welcome to the bonfire, and I am a
Again, you can level up at the Firekeeper here, so she is the person who's able to level you up. He's who is involved in some of the endings of the game. There later on. So typically what I'll upgrade is, and probably the easiest way to do this, is give yourself a little bit of health first of all, so at least I would say 15 if you have enough souls, and get your strength up to 15. Dex, not as much important with if you're going to use an Irithel straight sword, which is my recommendation. Hollow Slayer great sword, you will need a little bit more dex if you choose to go down that path. So I'm going to get my dex up to 13 only. I want to keep 3,000 souls because I'm going to buy a couple of items that we will trade with the birds up top. That's going to make things a little bit easier as we continue. So this is the handmaiden. She'll sell you things. Important items to get at the start. If you want to connect with other people, get the white sign soapstone. That allows you to summon other people. To be summoned into other people's worlds. You can summon other people without that. Advanced players might get the dried finger. I'm not going to bother with that at the moment because I'm just doing a walkthrough, but we might pick that up a bit later just to explain what it does. Other things that you want to get at the start of the game, you can get embers. I wouldn't recommend it, you don't generally have enough souls, but things to get are the large leather shield. Now that will be able to be traded with the birds for an item that is useful, and the torch. The torch is going to come in handy once we have enemies that put maggots on us. It means that we can get rid of the maggots immediately. You do want a firebomb. I've still got one from my fight with Gundyr after having picked it up, so that's all I need. And I'm going to grab 2 prism stones. You only need 1, but they're only worth 10 souls anyway, so I just grabbed 2, just so I've got an extra one. That's pretty much all that you need to buy from the handmaiden. We can then go and talk to Andre. Now Andre is the person who will be able to upgrade your weapons, and again we can just talk to him, and he'll talk for a little bit, and then he'll actually tell you that he can repair your weapons, that sort of thing, and he'll give you a gesture if you talk to him twice, which is known as the hurrah gesture, as we get there. So getting all gestures is part of the achievements, if I remember correctly, so that's something that is useful to make sure you do. A couple other characters will appear here. We'll have Orbeck of Vinheim, we'll pick him up later, he'll appear there. We will have Cornix from the Undead Settlement, he'll appear here. He's your Pyromancer, and Orbeck is your Sorcerer. And then we have our Faith character, sort of our Cleric character of Irina. She will appear here once you get her in the event. Orbeck you have to get 2 Crucifixion Woods to be able to pick up. Grey Rat will appear in this section over here. So he's a thief from the High Wall of Lothric. We'll pick him up fairly soon. Some of the other NPCs that we'll come across is Yuria of Londor, she'll appear here. And we'll have Yol of Londor, who we'll pick up at the High Wall. He'll appear, foot of the High Wall. He'll appear there. That's the basic layout of Firelink Shrine. You don't really need to use all the other paths. I just follow the same path back up every time. Someone else that you might want to talk to is the NPC up on the chair here. He's Ludleth, and he'll be able to transpose some boss weapons from boss souls that you get And he is one of the lords, theoretically. But we don't have to ever fight him during the game. So from there, I'm going to rest up. I wouldn't worry about allotting Estus with Andre yet, because we're going to do that in a second once we go up by the birds. So you can buy a key to get you up to the birds easier, but this technique is very useful. So it just means that you can get some of the items earlier, which I didn't. The technique is you're going to be running at the tree in this motion. As you're getting up the side of the tree, you're going to angle your character slightly that direction, and you're going to be jumping off the side at a slight angle. So we're going to run straight at the tree, and we're going to jump off at the angle. Now this might take me a couple of tries. This will probably take you more tries if you have more. That was basically the technique, but we didn't get high enough. So again, run at the tree, jump off to the right. We're getting closer. Again, closer, but we're not quite there. Sometimes you have to run up the tree a little bit more. Again, this jump sometimes you'll get first time, sometimes it takes quite a few. We got up that time. Now I'd recommend doing that jump twice, so I will be coming back and doing it again. First time, you will come in to the right here, and you'll be able to trade items with the birds. With the items that we picked up from the Shrine Handmaiden, you'll be able to get a couple of Twinkling Titanites, which are useful for upgrading boss weapons, like the Irithel Straightsword. And you'll also be able to get, from the Firebomb, you'll be able to get a large Titanite Shard. So those are really useful to trade. Make sure they're not equipped, so you'll notice that I have that red symbol just on my Firebomb. That means I need to go to my equipment menu, unequip the Firebomb, and then I can drop it. Also, you'll be dropping a Prism Stone for a Twinkling Titanite. You can drop a Homeward Bone for a Gesture and the Iron Bracelets, which is like Solaire's bracelets. And after that, you can drop the Large Leather Shield. Large Leather Shield, I think, will give you another Twinkling Titanite. There shouldn't be anything else that you need to drop at this point. But there are the items that we will drop later, like the Black Firebomb will give you a Titanite chunk. That's really useful a little bit later in the game. So there we go, we've picked up our Twinkling Titanites, our Large Titanite Shard, and a couple of other items. I'm going to re-equip my weapon now, my longsword, just so that we can hit this wall. And again, once you've hit the wall, you can come through, drop down to the right, and you're able to pick up the Silver Serpent Ring. So the coveted Silver Serpent Ring increases the amount of souls that you get, so that's something that I'll always equip in this left hand part on my rings. Just means that I'll be getting more souls from all the enemies I kill, which is very useful to have. Finally, we're going to do that tree jump one more time. Just means that we can then get one more Twinkling Titanite from the lizard at the back of Firelink Shrine. Again, coming this Tree of Giants as well. Check it once you've had an invader. You can pick up seeds of a giant tree, and that means that you can turn the enemies in your world hostile to invaders, which is a very useful item if you're being invaded and you're on the back foot. So again, with this tree jump, you want to be running at it, jumping up to the right, and then you can head around Firelink Shrine this time instead of heading into the building, and that'll mean that we can then pick up the Twinkling Titanite from the lizard at the back here. So there we go, we got the lizard. Again, mostly right bumpers. If you hold B and press right trigger, you can get that attack, which just means that you hit down the lizard rather than swiping left and right. just means you're more likely to hit him. Sometimes your left-right swings will miss, and so holding B and pressing right trigger, you'll do a jumping attack, which I find is easier than just on the spot trying to press forward on the thumbstick and right trigger at the same time. Another NPC that will appear here that I forgot to mention is we will have completely lost his name now, but he sells you red eye orbs. He'll come up a bit later. Okay, let's head to the high wall now. Actually, before we head to the high wall, we picked up the Estus shard up top in there. So we're going to head to Andre, and we're going to tell him to reinforce our Estus flask using that shard, and that'll mean that you'll get one more Estus every time you rest at a bonfire. So we're going to allot our Estus. Now, if you're a mage character, you might need Ashen Estus to restore your FP. We will mostly be just transferring to normal Estus, and that'll be restoring our HP, so our health. So FP is used for your spells, your pyromancies, that sort of thing. HP is just used as health points. Another thing that you could buy before you head to the high wall is firebombs. Now, firebombs can be really useful if you want to take down the Pus of Man. There's 2 Pus of Man on the high wall. If you let the enemy transform into the Pus of Man, you will receive a Titanite shard and an ember, which means that you can get a couple of early embers and shards to upgrade your weapon. I will take them down, but we don't actually have firebombs on us. The technique is throwing a firebomb at them, attacking them from behind, running back, waiting a few seconds just for it to sort of debuff, and then firebomb, and again they'll stagger, and you can finish them off. So we're going to go towards the first Pus of Man now. So travelling right from the high wall. There's an archer just above us, so again you probably want to take out the archer first. So we've got the archer here. Again, just a couple of right bumper attacks is the easiest way to take him down. Down here we have some dogs. Just be prepared, you don't need to attack any of the other enemies that are standing there other than the really big ones. Once you get close enough to the dog, they will come and attack you. Hold your shield up, and he can't deal any damage to you if you've got your shield up just a bit further back. And once they bounce off your shield, you have a nice opportunity to just make some attacks on them. Again, we have the big enemies here. They won't be able to deal any damage either. So again, I'm just going to show you holding out my shield, staying a little bit back. They'll take off some stamina, but they won't be able to hurt you. So they're not very hard. Walk up behind them, right bumper, and you get the backstab. Again, you can follow that same technique as a simple technique to get around them. Backstab. Notice he's on very low health, so I'm not going to bother with the technique. I'm just going to finish him off. Again, go with the halberd. You can block that halberd. He can't get through your defense. So just, again, make sure you stop blocking to recharge your stamina, and then you can just right bumper attack from behind. We'll get an attack in there. I'll hold my shield up again, and then just walk behind him. He's being a little bit cheeky at the moment, but we'll just stand back, let him attack, and get behind him, backstab. The enemy to the right of the crossbow enemy, you'll see, you can attack him early on, and that'll stop him from transforming. I actually want him to transform. Oh, we did stop him from transforming. So there, the first one we've stopped him transforming. The second one we'll let transform, and just give you a bit of tutorial on Pus of Man, how to take them out. Longbow and arrows at this point, so that's why it's useful to go right. If you're not planning on creating a archery character, don't worry too much about coming down this way unless you want the Titanite shard and the ember from the pus of man. Down here we will have a soul item. There's a guy sitting on the ground. Pick up your soul item, and we can head back up. Yeah, that we will be picking up a little bit later, so we will come back to that shortcut. Keep that in mind, because it won't be too long until we will be appearing there again. So from this bonfire now, again, if you're low on health, you can rest, because we're not dealing with those enemies at the moment, so we can allow them to respawn. Coming down here, we have quite a few enemies, but don't pay too much attention to them. Run straight ahead, kill the person who's going to summon enemies, and then you can turn around and these. Hold your shield up, let them bounce off it, and just right bumper to finish them. You can finish these enemies. Sometimes they will drop raw gems, which can be useful early in the game. Raw gems won't really help you long term, but they can be useful right at the start if you're struggling. I do sometimes backstab that guy because he will sometimes get up and attack you, but there's no huge need to. Coming up here, there's another guy who's going to summon enemies, so we want to finish him off straight away. And up top, we'll have an enemy that will run around the corner and attack us, so we're just going to hold our shield up and then wait for him to do his attack, and then we can just right bumper him. Same as this enemy, he's just sitting down, easy to finish off. Grab the binoculars. Binoculars can be useful just to sort of look at a distance. If you're new to the game, they won't really help you too much other than that. Dropping down here, there are some gold pine resins, so those are going to be useful for your first boss fight. Again, we have some enemies standing here that I will usually kill just to be safe. There's no huge need to, but they'll stand up if you get close to them. There's an item here behind the table. That's a firebomb, 2 firebombs actually. And there's this enemy that will run from behind the crates and attack you. Just hold your shield up, he'll bounce off it, and you get easy attacks to finish him off. Dropping down, you don't have to use that ladder, you can just drop on the wooden beam. Straight ahead, you can get the soul item. Now there's 2 paths you can go down here. You can go to the right, but you will miss out on opening the mimic. I would mention going to the left would be the easiest. Watch this guy with the spear. Again, same technique as always. Hold your shield up, he'll attack. If he doesn't attack, you can kick him and get the riposte in. Then I'm going to heal up because there's going to be a dragon breathing fire. Now the dragon will often kill the enemies to the right. What I'll do is I'll just run past. I will grab the ember, the club, there's an ember, and there's a claymore down the other end. If you kill the dragon, you can go and get that claymore that's down the other end, as you can see down that way. Easiest not to grab it here, if you're killing the dragon. In this room we have a mimic. So don't open the treasure chest that's down below. Easiest method for a mimic is if you have undead hunter charms. You can throw an undead hunter charm on him. You can pick up the items, and you can literally be on your way. If you hit the mimic again and use another undead hunter charm, it'll reset the chance of getting a symbol of avarice. So we will come back to that mimic a little bit later. Watch out for this knight. This knight can be a little bit dangerous. He's a Lothric knight. So again, holding up your shield and going behind him is the easiest technique. Easiest technique for quite a few enemies. So what I'll do is I'll hold my shield up. I don't even need to roll typically. Make sure you're conserving your stamina and you can backstab him. Hold shield up. Again, watch your stamina and you can just strafe around him. And easy backstab usually. If he holds his shield up, you can try for a kick. Notice it's a little bit risky to try for the kicks because that weapon art that he just used there. So again, holding your shield up, moving around him, backstabbing him is the easiest way to take down the Lothric knights. And they can drop some embers and good items as well, so can be useful to take him out. He will follow you to the bonfire if you don't. kill him, so it's easiest just to get rid of him. These guys will attack you from the side, just be warned about them. Heading up to the top of this tower, you will get your second bonfire. It's known as the Tower on the Wall. So first bonfire was High Wall of Lothric. This is Tower on the Wall. Pick up your Titanite Shard, and we'll head back downstairs. Now from here there are a couple of fire bombs. Again, we're going to use those fire bombs in a second on the passive man, so we'll show you how to use them. There's a couple of guys who will walk around this area. Depending on the amount of patience that you've got, you wait for him to come to the end of this ledge. Again, if you're worried about anything, this is the safest method of taking him out. So we'll just drop down, plunge attack, and that's the easiest way to take him out. Another one there, hold it. Any throwing knives will bounce off, and if he comes to try and run at you, which he will probably do now, again he'll bounce off. You'll get a chance for 2 hits, and it's an easy finish. Downstairs we'll be going to pick up Grey Rat in a second, but we need the key to open his cell. So we're going to grab this item and continue down this way to get his key. There's an enemy to the right here. You can actually hit him before he even comes up. Same as this enemy, you can take him down before he even comes up. Again, you can drop down and plunge on him. If you are worried about the other enemies, you can come back up and finish them. So you can see that guy standing up now. If you hit him first, he won't transform. You're going to notice he's about to transform into the passive man. So again, easiest method is to kill him before he transforms. I'm going to just equip that firebomb. I forgot to equip those a second ago. Once you got the firebombs equipped, stay back from the passive man. And what you can do is you can throw a firebomb on the passive man. He will stagger, run behind him, get 1 or 2 attacks in, and roll away again. Run away from him, give it time to debuff so that this next firebomb is going to stagger him, and then throw your firebomb at him. Again, I'm talking through this, so I was a little bit slow at throwing that firebomb. But that's the typical technique. So you throw your firebomb, he gets staggered, you can run behind and get a couple more hits in. Roll away if you're worried, get some health in, and again, firebomb, get behind him, attack. Two or 3 attacks. I wouldn't even recommend 3. And then another firebomb, run behind, attack. That's your easiest way to take down them, and you will get the Titanite Shard and the Ember, which is very useful early in the game. Titanite Lizard here, again you can jump attack to turn him over, and then it's an easy 2 hit on the lizard. There's a soul item there, large item, and that's pretty much everything for the roof here. You don't have to take that ladder, you can use this ledge and drop down. And then to the left here you will have black firebombs. So those black firebombs will be able to be traded with the birds for a Titanite chunk. Again, you won't get too much damage dealt to you if you just hold up your shield against these crossbow enemies. So I'd recommend just hold up your shield as you're coming through here. Hit that guy off the edge first, and then focus on the other one coming up, because the crossbow will take a while to attack you. We will be going down that ladder a little bit later, but we don't need to just yet because we want to get Grey Rat's cell key. So if we head through to the left, there's going to be a guy shoot at us, and there's also going to be this guy who summons enemies. Just focus on the ones behind the barrel and the one who's summoning, and then we can run up and kill the crossbow enemy. Undead Hunter Charms that we just picked up there will be useful for the Mimic that we want to get the Symbol of Avarice from. There's usually another enemy that crawls up the side there. Just be aware of that. This Lothric Knight can be really annoying. Typical strategy is hold up your shield and get behind him again and roll as he does his second spear attack. That will usually get you around for the backstab. So again, hold up your shield, wait for the second attack. He will sometimes do the shield bash, which takes off a lot of stamina. So once you can roll behind him, if you can't get a couple of slashes in on him, because he does deal quite a bit of damage, and keep rolling to the side. So roll to the side from his spear attacks unless you're going to get behind to get the backstab. Once he does his 2 spear attacks, that's the easiest, or even if he does that sideways spear attack, getting behind him can be easy. So have patience, roll through him, get behind and backstab. And again, they have the chance of dropping Titanite shards in their armor. Watch out for this guy. Holding up a shield again is fine. There's a broadsword there, and there will be some more items downstairs. Don't go down that area first because there's quite a few enemies, and the guys up top here will throw firebombs on you. So the main strategy is take these guys out who throw the firebombs first. Again, try and hit this guy towards the wall or backstab him, because if he falls down, you'll have to go and try and kill him in amongst all the other enemies. This shield is really good, Silver Eagle Kite Shield. If you didn't start as a knight, it is the next best shield because it is 100% block, and it also allows you to perform the weapon art with the shield in your hand. Hold up your shield there, there will be the dog that comes at you. This area is quite dangerous, so again, if you need to go back to the bonfire, give me the best technique. I most need to head back to the bonfire now because of the low health that I'm on. So again, there was the item here to the right that you can pick up. So we're just going to need to heal up before we go through that next area. So again, you can just run past most of these enemies if you want to pick up the items. Just saves you on Estus, so a good technique is not having to fight every single enemy, and just getting to the items that you need. But obviously first time you go through the game, you're not going to be able to just run past everyone. You're not going to know their timings and things like that, and if you get caught in it, it can be really dangerous. So again, you know the technique for each of these individual enemies. We're just going to take out the enemies at the top again, just to show you how to best handle the enemies at the bottom. Enemies at the bottom, you really want to deal with that dog, and then take out the big ones. So we got the dog, get him to come up the staircase towards you. Again, hold your shield up, wait till he hits it, and then you get the chance of the 2 hits. Watch out for that enemy. And hold up your shield as these guys come at you. Try and get this one on the right first. He's just the easiest with the great axe. You can just sort of walk around him and backstab him as he does the jumping attack. Hold up your shield again. Look for what attack he's going to do, so just the slam. And once he hits the ground, you've got quite a bit of time to get around, and then you can just finish him off with the 2 hits. Pick up the Estus shard over there. That's a very important item to make sure you get. Increase the amount of uses your Estus flask will have every time. Again, hold up your shield. If you have 2 of these, catch them in backstabs because you're then safe from the other one during the animation. I got very unlucky there and happened to get hit right at the end of my animation. Let me just go up the stairs. Again, this will just reset. Get you ready to be able to handle both of them again. They'll take some time to follow you up the staircase. Trying to get around them and backstab one is the best technique. You don't really want to be fighting them at the top of the staircase though, so once you've healed, you can lead them back down. This area is quite difficult, especially if you're new to the game. So if you do need to run through and just grab the items that I've shown you, feel free. This is the way to take out the enemies. Try and get them one by one. I did a bit of a bad job there and ended up with fighting both of them. If you don't run forward, you can take them out one by one. To the left we have a dog. Again, shield up and he'll bounce off it. And you can grab the cell key. Now that cell key is going to be used to open Grey Rat's cell in the undead settlement. Sorry, in the high wall at the area that we were earlier. That's all the items in this section. So we're going to head back up towards the bonfire. And we're going to go free Grey Rat from a cell. Watch out for that guy shooting the crossbows. He will shoot them at you even while you're going up the ladder, so you want to get up fairly quickly. We still have the Pus of Man up here because we didn't fight him this time. So just be wary of that. Run past your enemies. Go back up the staircase. Yeah, do watch him. Sometimes you do have to fight these enemies. Which is not ideal when you have a Pus of Man. Typically one enemy you'll be okay. We've got a couple enemies here now. So should take them out. Use the bonfires as much as you need. So, as you noticed, I've been getting low on health through that section. That section does weigh pretty heavy on your health, especially when you're new. I'm trying to take this as slow as possible because it's very much fast-paced when you're doing it as a more experienced player. You won't be able to rest the bonfire if enemies are nearby, so be wary of that. From here we can again deal with these enemies that are downstairs. It would be wise to deal with that one up top as well, but if you can get past them, it just saves you on a bit of Estus. So I get a couple of hits in, I'll stand back and get the backstab in when it's possible. Watch out for this guy throwing firebombs. You can roll past him and then get the hits on. There's an item in this room, throwing knives. Again, enemy to the left. Finish him off, grab the mail breaker. No items over here, we just need to pick up Grey Rat from his cell.
You know you're from far. You must be some of that remarkable. Below the high wall, not the home of any.
So he's asking you to go to the undead settlement, and he's saying that Loretta lives there. He wants you to give her the ring that he's about to give you, and he's saying he's got more wits than most royalties. He's a thief that is supposedly better than most thieves, I guess. So you're getting a blue tier stone ring from Grey Rat. That'll help to increase your defense when you're low on health. That is something I recommend equipping early in the game. Just helps if you're on low health. It means that you can survive that little bit longer. Again, backstabbing these guys with your shield up. Easiest technique. I will show it on most enemies. We still have our Estus, so you can go back up to the bonfire if you got hit there. Otherwise, we can keep going. Again, don't worry about the enemies here. If you has items, you can just keep running to the right, drop down on your ledge, drop down further, and you have these enemies to deal with. You can drop off the ladder and then attack if he climbs up by you there. Again, you'll have this guy and you'll have a guy climbing up the ladder. Sorry, up the area there. No items there, but there are 2 items here. Now, when you come through here, watch out, there's a big winged knight that will be patrolling the area. You can avoid him, so I will initially show you him, and then I'll show you how to fight him as well. So there's a rapier there, kill the guy who's sitting down, and you can move on from there. Pick up your ember here, pick up the ember around this side, and again, notice we haven't attracted the attention of the winged knight. I usually just take out the winged knight because I find it to be easier, but a bit of fun. But you don't have to. So holding up your shield. Again, he'll take off your stamina, but he's pretty slow with his attacks. So even if he does, you can just roll away afterwards. Just staying behind him most of the time, slightly to his left hand. If he does divine pillars like that, you just want to backstab him. And then there's a couple of other attacks that you can roll through and backstab. Get back if he does a spin, and then again at the end of the spin usually you get a chance for a backstab. Notice again divine pillars, so run around behind him, backstab, and then you can just finish him off. That was quite a passive attempt. That's sort of, if you're being really cautious, one way to do it. I would try and get a couple more backstabs and roll past his attacks. But again, it depends on how experienced you are, how happy you are with rolling through attacks. Today I'm going to show the more cautious of the strategies. Soul item and a ring of sacrifice. Now, a ring of sacrifice is really useful in that you can equip it after you've died and the souls will still remain there rather than disappearing. So if you die and you lose your souls, those souls will disappear. So if you die, your souls remain there. If you die again, those initial souls disappear. So Ring of Sacrifice prevents that from disappearing for another chance. You can also use the Ring of Sacrifice before you've died, and it will mean actually lose any souls when you do die. Now those guys are quite easy, just make sure you are very aggressive against them and take out as many as possible first, otherwise they will spam attack you and you'll be in for a world of hurt. No items downstairs, but there is some throwing knives upstairs here. So pick up the throwing knives there, open the gate, and that'll take you back to that first bonfire. Remember I said there's the shortcut before, so you'll notice you've got the big enemy and the little one sitting down. So again, just strafe around him, backstab him, hold your shield up. Easy way of doing that. Now again, if you run up here and to the right, you'll get back up to your first bonfire. I will just show you for the sake of completion, just so you understand. So this leads back to the bonfire, and you'll recognize that's where we came once we teleported from the shrine bonfire. So take out the archer again if you're going to rest there. Watch out for the dogs. You can actually plunge the dog, so if you manage to get it correctly. Otherwise, hold up your shield, wait for him to hit it, and then get your 2 attacks in. There is a shortcut down here that you can take, so just drop down there, and then you can plunge that guy as well. Notice if you don't plunge him quick enough, he will run up. But sometimes that's a good thing, because you can then just run past him and take the elevator down. Now make sure that elevator is already up the top. If it's not, you need to pull the lever, and that'll bring it down. To the right here, there is a green blossom, or a couple of green blossoms, so make sure you pick those up. Those will increase your stamina, recharge your stamina faster during battles. Now, if you're new to the game, I definitely recommend that you use this next area. So what we'll do is we will use an ember if you haven't already got one on. And we will summon Lion Knight Albert. So Lion Knight Albert will help us fight some of these Lothric Knights, which will just make this area easier. I'm going to show you boss fights without NPCs. NPCs can be used, but they will sometimes increase the health of the boss. So if you follow the strategies that I'll usually show you, the boss fights aren't usually too bad without NPCs. But again, if you're finding that you can't take that the boss is dealing out, then it's definitely worth having another NPC in the fight just to help you take some of that heat off. Lothric Knights, I'm just doing the same thing to them as I would do for previous Lothric Knights. So just get around them and backstab, roll through some of the attacks if you find the opening. Hold the shield up and you'll avoid most damage. 2 attacks, we usually finish them once they're on that low. And you'll see that Lion Knights actually helped me with that Lothric Knight. So that's quite good. This Blue Knight can buff straight away, so I try and get in behind him as soon as possible, and then you get a free backstab to start off with. Now what I'd recommend here is I would let Lion Knight Albert take some of the heat, and then get behind him and get backstabs in. Run away, let Lion Knight take the heat again. And then you can just backstab. And again, he's low on health, so you can just finish him. And he'll drop the refined gem, which is a very useful weapon if you're going with the quality build, which we're going to be showing you in or here. Through here there is a boss fight that you can trigger if you kill the NPC. I do not recommend triggering this if you're in your first playthrough. If you're in New Game Plus, it's not a big deal because you'll be upgraded enough, but this is a much later boss fight. So we're just going to talk to Emma, and she will tell you that she's High Priestess here, and you're not going to find the Lords of Cinder, they've left. So she's going to send you off to the bottom of the high wall, and she gives you a banner that will be used to get there. The other thing, if you talk to her again afterwards, you will get the first covenant, the Way of Blue covenant. Now that allows you to summon blue sentinels into your world, or automatically summons blue sentinels into your world if you have invaders. The other thing it'll do is if there's people with Blade of the Dark Moon, which is another covenant, same as Blue Sentinels is another covenant, they'll get summoned into your world if you have invaders as well. So you usually have a maximum of two of them summoned into your world at any time. So when I talk about invaders, I talk about real players can invade you using cracked red eye orbs, or the red eye orb that you'll get later. Lothric Knight there, again, backstabbing him is the easiest method. Lion Knight will help take a bit of the heat off. There you go. And there's the Lucerne here, which is a halberd weapon. Just a bit of a point, if you're looking at different weapons, so let's say I look at the Lucerne, you can see at the top of the menu there in the middle it says halberd, so there'll be different type of weapons that are the same type. Sorry, there'll be different individual weapons that are the same type, so we got a long sword and a broadsword. Both of them are considered straight swords, so they'll have roughly the same moveset. Sometimes there's variations, and some weapons will say unique because they have special things that they'll do when you press like left bumper and that. Other thing to note is if you two-hand a weapon, pressing Y, you'll deal a bit more damage with your normal attacks. Your normal attacks will change, so you see I've got a up and down motion there as opposed to a left to right motion. And you can also use your weapon art. So if you hold left trigger with this weapon, each weapon art will be different, so you'll have to test those out for yourself. But say that this one I hold left trigger, and if I press right bumper I have a certain attack, and if I hold left trigger and I press right trigger, I'll have a slightly different attack as well. So those are two different ways of using it. Again, I'll always press Y again. I'll usually one-hand my weapon just so I can use my shield. That's sort of your safest strategy. But again, a little bit less damage. To the right here, you've got to go with the crossbow. You don't have to kill him. You can just run down to the boss bog, but probably easier to take him out. Now that should be all the items in this area. So what I'm going to do is, again, there is Swordmaster that you can summon, that guy that we killed earlier. If you've killed him, you can summon him for this fight. Again, I'm just going to send Lion Knight home, so they're using my black crystal. And in that tool belt, I'll press Y and equip my White Sign Soapstone as well. And then usually that'll be my spot for the dried finger, and then like orbs and that on the right. You can summon Swordmaster for the fight up top. So if you are in New Game Plus, you can summon for that fight up at Emma. So this next area is your boss area, so you want to make sure you are on full health. You want to have equipped the gold pine resin, because it will do it. And then walk to this door. That will trigger your fight. So this is going to be your first boss of the tutorial, and this is of the Boreal Valley boss fight. So he's one of the Outrider Knights sent out by a boss that we'll mention later on. So use your gold pine resin right at the start of this battle. I would recommend two-handing your attack because you can't really, well, you can block. Actually, you can block his attacks, so that's one-handed. So hold your shield up, run behind. He will keep moving around, don't worry too much. Keep your shield up and then just roll when he goes to attack. Eventually you'll get through to behind him once he stops jumping around. Watch out for the camera, sometimes it's really hard to work out where you are. So once you get behind him, you can just punish, and again the whole technique of this battle is just getting behind him, falling through and getting at least 1 to 2 hits in every time. Watch, so he will charge at you when he does that move. Notice I blocked an attack there, so your shield can be useful. Pull under him, and again, right bumpers. He will get angry here, so what you want to do is get behind him, get those couple of attacks in, and now wait for the charge. As he runs towards you, press B, again, roll forward. Get behind him here, and you'll be able to deal quite a few attacks. If you still have your golden pine resin, when he gets to this point, you will be able to deal quite a bit more damage. Watch out for that frostbite effect as well. That's something that you probably will just have happen. Don't worry about it. Again, just staying behind him, you're mostly safe. Roll forward if he tries to attack. If you have enough Titanite shards, you can go to Andre and upgrade your weapon before this fight. As you can see here, there's not a huge need as long as you are able to roll through attacks and hold your shield up. Notice my shield's just prevented a whole heap of damage there from full rolling. And again, you can keep your Estus as long as you're using that technique. So that's Vord of the Boreal Valley. We will be going to the foot of the high wall, which is the start of the undead settlement area. So what I will do is I will show you the the way to get there, and then I will just attempt to get the Symbol of Avarice as well at the first point possible. So as you walk down here, amazing view, and you can press A to raise the banner that you got from Emma. Now that banner signals to these creatures that you're to be taken down to the foot of the high wall. And if you've played Dark Souls 1, you'll see a parallel to where you get to Anor Londo and you get taken by these creatures as well. So again, we won't start doing this area just yet. We'll do that in the next stream. What we'll do here is we'll travel to the tower on the war bonfire, and we're going to try and get the Symbol of Avarice as early as possible in the game. So we're just going to wait for the Lothric Knight to walk away, that way you don't have to fight him again. Just hold up your shield, this guy can't do much to you. Oh. I was a bit greedy, but you can attack. Okay, so back in the area where the Mimic was, remember I showed you the Mimic here and told you a bit about how to farm for the Symbol of Avarice. Ideally you want some other items to be farming for it, but we don't have those just yet. Later on, once we do have all those items, I'll show you the best technique for farming. But what we do want to equip is we want to equip the Undead Hunter Charms now. So we picked those up a little bit earlier in the stream. We can use a rusted gold coin to increase our chances of finding the symbol, and then we can use the Undead Hunter Charm to open up the Mimic. Now what the Mimic will do is you'll notice that the teeth will move inwards, and that gives you the chance to pick up a weapon. So that deep battle axe is always there, but you also get a chance to pick up the Symbol of Avarice. We didn't pick it up that time, again it is random, so we're going to hit the Mimic and we're going to throw one more Undead Hunter Charm. You can do that straight away. Every time you throw a Hunter Charm after hitting the Mimic, you get another chance at getting the symbol. Again, we didn't get it this time. Now you can leave this guy here to come and fight again later, or you can just finish him off here and have one more chance at the symbol. There will be more Mimics, so it, in a lot of ways it makes sense just to finish him off here and have that last chance at a symbol. Because we won't be getting Hunter Charms again for a little bit. And we can use the symbol at the end of a boss battle just to increase... Ah, great. So we did get the Symbol of Avarice. So what the Symbol of Avarice does is it increases your chances of finding items. You see it'll say there, increases soul absorption, so you get more souls from enemies, as well as your chances of finding items. But the problem is it will drain your HP, so you notice that I'm losing 10 HP every second. And so at the top there my HP is 307, 297, 287, etc. So we'll take that off again. But use it at the end of boss fights and you'll get quite a few extra souls. I wouldn't recommend using it normally unless you're farming enemies specifically for souls. Just because if you're not paying attention enough, you will lose your health very rapidly, especially if you're getting attacked and having an HP drain. This is the time where you'd want to go and level up, so we're just going to head and level up before we finish this stream. We'll head to the Undead Settlement area afterwards. Again, if you didn't get that first passive man that I showed you, you can go back and get him now. No big deal if you do or don't. You will get an extra ember and a titanite shard if you do. So things that you want to do before the end of, or before the start of Undead Settlement is level yourself up. So we want to get some more health. We want to get some more strength and a bit more dexterity as well. I try and get 18 strength early as possible in the game, just because it allows me to use the symbol of want a little bit, shield of want a little bit later in the game, which increases your souls as well. So you need 18 strength for that. I'm going to sell a couple of soul items now. You can keep them as sort of backup if you need those few extra souls sometimes. We're going to use them just to upgrade. We're going to upgrade the... what's better, the longsword or the broadsword? Those are sort of guaranteed items that we've already just picked up, so I will just use them as something to go through the game with. They are actually decent weapons. So we will upgrade the... we'll upgrade the broadsword. And so we've got enough shards to upgrade it twice. And see, it says we require 6 shards now and we have 0, whereas for a +0 weapon you just need 2 shards. You're going to then need 4 to get it to +2, and then you're going to need to get 6 to get it to +3. And you'll notice that we're dealing 140 damage +28, whereas sort of even a longsword is only 110 +20. So our scaling for the weapon, you can see we have C scaling in strength. Now if we infuse that with a refined gem, you'll notice that we'll get C scaling in both strength and dex, and we'll get extra 43 damage as opposed to an extra 28 damage from it. I would recommend refined or heavy gems depending on whether you want to go a strength or a quality build. Strength build, go heavy. Quality build, go refined. I'm going to use a refined gem here. Just because as I get more strength and dex, I'm going to get a bit more rewards out of that scaling, that plus number. You'll notice that we lose 14 damage in physical damage, like typical physical damage, but then we get an extra 15 damage in scaling. So we're already better off than we were before, only by 1 damage, but that'll get even better as we increase our stats with the weapon. So refined weapons, definitely a good way to go. I'll equip that broadsword now. Watch your weight, make sure that your weight does not get over 70%, otherwise you will be fat rolling, which is really difficult. So you'll notice my roll at the moment is sort of a mid roll. If you have even less armor on, you will get a nice quick roll. So that's at the moment, what are we on? 17%, so that's very, very low. And you'll notice in between rolls, so if we've got those 2 pieces of armor on, we sort of got our mid roll again. But yeah, stay under 70% is always a good. Rings, we don't really need the Ring of Sacrifice, we don't have enough souls to warrant it, but if you get lots and lots of souls, you might want to equip that ring. And all the rest of the stuff, I mean, you can upgrade your shield a bit later and things like that, but not a big deal. I equip embers because they can be used for healing items, as well as just getting that bit extra health on the health bar. So you can use that at the start or the end of the boss battle, whatever strategy works best for you. And finally, I don't think there's any other items that we need to equip, although what we will do is we'll just go and get that titanite chunk right now, because it's easy to forget to get that. You can get it once you've got the tower key, if you're not confident with this tree jump. So again, it's up to you whether you want to get the first if you get really frustrated with this tree jump. But I would recommend getting good at the tree jump, just practicing it until you feel a bit more comfortable with it. And once you got the tree jump, it's just a matter of going up, trading your items with the birds, and you can head straight back down. I will show you the tower, the way here from the tower, once we have enough souls for the tower key, but I'm not going to be focusing until we get to cleansing, which will be coming up later. So again, we can trade the black firebomb with the birds, and that gives us a titanite chunk. Now, the way that weapons are upgraded, you first use titanite shards for +3, you're then using large titanite shards until you get to +6, and then you'll need titanite chunks once you get to once you're on sort of up to +9, and then for +10 you'll need a titanite slab for typical weapons. Boss weapons won't need the twinkling titanite and things like that, but I'll show you that as we get the Irithel Straight Sword and Hollow Slayer Greatsword coming up later. Thank you guys for tuning into that episode, and we'll be moving on to the Undead Settlement in the next stream. Thank you for watching, hope to catch you in the next one. Thanks guys.